This is a very fire-prone area, and because we live in the Pacific Northwest, unfortunately we're coming out of a drought. Hopefully we're coming out of a drought, which means that the forest is dry. The forests are not healthy because we have gotten so good at putting out the fires that Mother Nature isn't taking care of it. What I tell a lot of people is, if the forefathers came in covered wagons now, they'd still be coming because they couldn't get the covered wagons through because the forests are so thick. What they recommend is one tree for every 25 feet. If the tree branches are touching each other, they're too close. In the past, when you had forest fire, it burned up all the lower limbs. So when you do have a grass fire, which burns real fast, real hot, but it doesn't sustain, and it would just go through and it'd burn off the sick trees. But now we've gotten so good at putting out forest fires that we have unhealthy forests. Where you're at, where this Abbey is at, you're up on top of a ridge, which means that the fire comes, if it starts down below, is going to race up that ridge. As it starts coming up the ridge, it preheats the fuel, therefore drying it out, which means that by the time it gets up here, it's very, very intense. So when you first started looking at this place, I came by and did a Firewise and explained that, and you guys have done an excellent job of cleaning up the lower areas, which does helps quite a bit. You keep it nice and green, you keep the grass down. We've gotten rid of probably 99% of the knapweed, which is good. Knapweed is very oily, very dry. If you've ever seen it burn, it may be this tall, but you got 6-7 foot flames because of it. It burns very, very intense because of the oils, and it is so woody. Plus, with knapweed, it drops 2 seeds a year. When it first blooms, it drops a seed. Afterwards, it drops another seed. The seeds are viable for about 15 years, so every time you turn over the ground, they grow. But the knapweed roots put out a toxin, and it kills everything around it. So only knapweed grows. So that's why it's considered a noxious weed. It's very, very bad. Nothing eats it that I know of. Maybe goats. Baling hay, when it dries, just the dust from it, it's got a horrible taste because you're going to be eating that stuff. And it's bad, and you guys have done an excellent job on keeping the knapweed down. We haven't had a major fire since 1907, I think, was the last. 1910 was the last major one. So it's getting to be, that's the 100-year fire. We're overdue. So if we do have one, it's going to be a real big one. And the 1910 fire went all the way over to Montana, which is huge, huge area. But the forests are healthier, or we're healthier afterwards. If you look at Yellowstone, which burned a couple of years ago, their forests are healthier now than they've ever been, because we didn't put the fire out. It burned out on its own. But as the trees burn and you get that ash down on the ground, that helps fertilize the ground, and the nutritions that it gives the plants is excellent. The problem with an unhealthy forest with too many trees, they're all vying for the same amount of water, the same amount of nutrients, and it's just not there. And that's why thinning, DNR recommends that you thin, and you guys, I know you guys are doing a good job because I burn the slash piles. It's the best thing you can do for this area and really enhance your property, is to make sure that it stays thin and getting the sick ones down. The one with the 2 tops, they're actually a hazard because they're weak, and you get a big windstorm, and hopefully one branch doesn't fall off and hit a building or hit someone that's walking through. And that actually is a mutation. So the seeds have a tendency to grow trees that have a double top. So you want to try to get rid of those as much as possible. This actually is a beautiful area. I think this is the prettiest part of the country, myself. But we have to take care of it. We are the stewards of the land. And if we don't take care of it, we're going to lose it. Mother Nature takes care of herself. We just need to kind of help her along so that if there is a fire here, let it burn through the grasses and all that. If you've ever seen after a fire goes through a field, the grass the next year is even greener and better. So that isn't necessarily a bad thing. You don't want to lose a building because of it. And this new building, that is definitely a fire-safe building. And it's going to be economically better for you as far as heating, because those bricks are filled with a foam. So you guys are doing everything right. I commend you for it. And putting in the cistern, that really helps the fire department and helps you, because now you've got an abundant amount of water and don't have to worry about if the well goes out. At least you've got some water until you can get it fixed. Other than that, is my 5 minutes up?